Alright, so today I want to focus on painting shadows in the whitewater. You can see the shadows right in here, and I just love that color. It's so beautiful. It's almost like straight ultramarine blue with a bit of white. If I pan out too much, like say if I were to make the composition like this, then that feature that I'm interested in is kind of diminished. So I want to find a happy medium where, you know, I'm getting those shadow colors, but that I'm also getting like a nice pattern of light and shadow in the rocks. Alright, sometimes people wonder when I tone my panels and when I don't. I don't actually often tone them. When I do, I use like a light burnt sienna toning. But today is a perfect example of when I'm not going to tone my panel, because the burnt sienna will kind of calm down or neutralize the ultramarine, and I don't want that to happen. I want my ultramarine in the shadows to be really pure. So I'm not going to tone because that burnt sienna and ultramarine are kind of complements, like an orange and blue, and so you get that graying down effect. Okay, so there is the shadow pattern of the rocks, but now what I want to do is I want to put the shadow pattern of, you know, that's in the whitewater, and that'll give it further definition. And as usual, I am just kind of making things up to in order to have an interesting composition. There will be all in here, this will all be that ultramarine, and there'll be some up along the rocks, you know, up in this direction here. And I'll definitely be exaggerating I'm putting more shadow in than I actually see, just because, like I said, I really do like that color. All right, and so the color I used to map out the darks is dioxazine purple with burnt sienna. And I kind of talked about that in one of my previous videos, but this is not my usual dark mix, but I'm kind of enjoying it. So that's what I used today. And now I'm gonna mix up some ultramarine with titanium white for the shadows in here. All right, so actually you already get the effect right here because the white panel with the ultramarine blue shadows in the water. So you're already getting that sort of light effect. Now what I want to do is kind of adjust some of these dark patterns over here. I like what's going on all in here. That's cool. There's a broken wave here. And then I'll just use some of the waves that are out there for color and then create an interesting wave pattern in the background. But this area right here, all this light, that's kind of bothering me a little bit. So I'm going to play around with this area to kind of, yeah, maybe I don't know, just see if I can find a shape that I like better. This, maybe I could come up a little bit more like that with the darks, something like that. Okay, so I feel like I've got a decent feeling of light in this painting. I'm liking the patterns in the whitewater over here. And then on the top here, the tops of the rocks, I'm going to go with this sort of sand color. And I'll probably, yeah, I mean, I might warm it up a little bit more than I'm seeing here. and might add a little bit of atmosphere on these rocks out in the distance by lightening them up and adding blue, but they're pretty close. I feel like this area is a little bit too bright, so I might want to tone that down a bit. Put some kind of wave action in there maybe, but that's basically it. So now it's going to be coming back in and putting the white water in, which a lot of times I'll use titanium white with a touch of ultramarine, or even oftentimes use a touch of dioxazine purple. So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to probably go with a touch of ultramarine, and then I can come over and hit it with some highlights using white and cadmium yellow lemon. Okay, so I'm liking the overall design and pattern, and I don't know if you guys can see, but it's very, very sketchy, and I'm gonna leave it that way. But now I gotta put in the white water, and so I've got to decide what color I want the white water to be, or how I want to tint the white water. I think the white water in the distance I'm going to tint with ultramarine. In the front here though, I am going to use probably titanium white with a touch of cadmium yellow lemon right in here. That'll really play up that the yellow against the blue, and that should be, you know, get a nice lighting effect. that when you're doing the tops of waves, it's really good to have this sort of diffusion going on, because there tends to be spray off the top of the waves, which I don't know if you can see it out now, you can't really see it. There tends to be spray off of the top of the waves, which will create like, yeah, it's like mist. So having the top of the wave soft is really is key. All right, so this first batch of whitewater, I used titanium white with a touch of ultramarine blue. And now I'm mixing up some titanium white with cadmium yellow lemon. And I'm gonna kind of play that on top of this white so that you get the warm, cool activity going. Okay, so I am gonna leave it here, and I feel pretty good about, you know, my goal was to create a feeling of light in here using these ultramarine shadows, and then of course an interesting light and dark pattern. So yeah, and you can see like where I added the bits of, you know, there's warm and cool whitewater, and I think that makes it look a lot more luminous. Every time I come out here, I feel like I learned something. You know, I return to this spot over and over again, and like I said, I'm constantly learning and growing. You know, I just feel like the more you get out, even if it's at the same place, you'll find different ways of interpreting the scene. I mean, there's probably 1,000 ways to compose out here at this particular spot. So I really do enjoy it, and then it also keeps you from doing the plein air thing where you're driving around trying to find something to paint. I always know I can come here to Pescadero and find the composition and find something new to do. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. As usual, these videos are made possible by the support I get on Patreon. I've got a bunch of videos on there. In fact, today I posted about the origin of my color palette, how I came up with the colors that I have on my palette. So if you're interested, there's a Patreon link down below, and it does help support the channel, like I said. Other than that, stay creative, and I'll see you guys in the next video.